If you're looking for some good Star Trek to fill the void left by today's less than stellar examples, then ReExamined Reads, the Star Trek edition, is for you. We'll review works written in the 1960s all the way up until around 2012. We'll see which ones pass the tests of good writing, plot, characters, and canon, and measure up to the old school standards of Trek. We're looking for those books you pick up when you're bored with watching and rewatching the old school series and you just need that Star Trek fix. We'll cover works written for Star Trek the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. Works will be evaluated on a 1 through 5 star rating system, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Don't waste time sifting through the hundreds of novels out there to find a good Star Trek book. Look through our reviews and find a read that suits your interest. Consider us your guidepost to great Trek. Now before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. On this edition of ReExamined Reads, we take a look at Demons, an old-school Star Trek novel by J.M. Dillard. It was published in 1986 by Pocket Books, a division of Simon & Schuster. It is available on Amazon. See the link below. There are no suggestions on episodes to watch before reading this book, unless you're unfamiliar with Spock's family. In which case, the old series episode, Journey to Babel, might be a good refresher, but there is no single episode that enhances this read. It's unclear when this book takes place. Some aspects would suggest it was sometime in the original series, but the cover shows Spock and McCoy in the maroon uniforms found after the Wrath of Khan. So let's take a look at the story without giving too much away. A Vulcan expedition led by Sarek's brother and nephew return home after an archaeological dig on a planet in the Hydrilla sector, a whole region of space where every inhabited species died off millennia ago. They bring back a number of mysterious boxes, impervious to scans, which contain something evil. They use the excuse of having so many of these boxes that they exceed the amount needed for study and give some of them away. One such box is given to Sarek, who puts it on display in his home. What happens next is the stuff of nightmares. Inside are creatures capable of taking over those nearby, and these creatures delight in murder and mayhem. Once infected, a person can infect others. As you can imagine, the peaceful planet of Vulcan is completely unprepared. To make matters worse, the Enterprise is infected, and quite literally, all hell breaks loose. You should be warned. For a Star Trek novel, it's quite graphic. A lot of blood and gore. While I think any realistic version of the show would have horrors beyond imagining, some like to think of the 23rd and 24th centuries as neat and tidy. It's to those folks this warning is directed. So the story has two plot lines, the events on Vulcan and the events on the Enterprise. There is a new character that was added into the mix, a human with remarkable ESP ability. That character is well-rounded and written, but I didn't care for the almost adolescent fixation McCoy shows towards her, as she is 1/3 his age. While McCoy can do the whole charming Southern gentleman thing, the idea that these two would ever have any future together suggests McCoy was having a midlife crisis more than being in character. Dillard is a good writer, and has quite a few Star Trek novels under her belt. This early work is one of 2 that Dillard wrote that deal with gothic issues, in this case demonic possession, and the other called Bloodthirst with vampires. I would not let that, or McCoy's out-of-character stint, stop you from reading this book. The concept of an alien of such dark purpose being loosed on Vulcan is a great plotline, and the blood and gore make it that much more believable. The idea of Sarek, or any Vulcan, possessed by such an entity was presented in a way that was frightening and off-putting, and at my age it takes a lot to do either. In the end, J.M. Dillard's Demons gets a 4-star rating. The way McCoy was written and some of the ambiguity of the time frame are really the only 2 things that keep this book from getting 5 stars. Keep the discussion going. Leave your thoughts and comments on this book below. If you really enjoyed this presentation, after you like and subscribe, send a link of this channel to your favorite Star Trek fan. It would be much appreciated. As always, thank you for watching.